Medical disclaimer. This podcast is intended for educational purposes only and does not serve as medical advice. Kate and John are not medical professionals. This podcast is not intended to diagnose, treat, or prevent any illness. Always consult your physician before making lifestyle changes. Welcome back to the Illuminated Path. This is episode 30. We're getting up there. What are we talking about today?
Today we're talking about what the term holistic really means. I feel like it's kind of become a bit of a buzzword, whereas like 4 years ago, or even longer, like 6 years ago when I first saw my holistic life coach, I had never really heard the term. So we're just kind of wanting to get into that a little bit today.
Yeah, I know we talked about it a little bit in our first episodes, kind of touched on it, but I think, yeah, it's something we're seeing a lot. And it's definitely become like a marketing term. I think it used to really be more like a hippie woo woo, you would think it wasn't real. It was just somebody who like bought into some misinformation or something. So yeah, I'm excited to dive into that. How's the week?
Good. We had amazing warm weather last week, like mid to high 60s, which is just wonderful. I was like going outside over and over again to just be in the sun. It was so nice.
We had a great date night.
Yes.
Took our bikes, went out riding on the trail. We rode into town. We got gluten-free pizzas and ate them on a park bench. It was just...
Yeah, we did 9 miles on our bikes.
Such a fun time.
It was so nice.
Yeah.
I can't wait for more warmer weather. It is now spring officially, so no more winter. We're done.
Yeah.
We're heading into
Please,
wonderful weather. Other little updates. We had a great time at my sister and future brother-in-law's shower. That was a fun time. And just another fun update. Our dog sitter agreed to bring our dogs to our wedding. So they're going to be there for some pictures and for the ceremony. And I'm just like so excited that they're going to be there.
Yeah. Yeah. It's, I'm just glad that they'll be there for that day, you know?
They're our babies.
Yeah.
How about you?
Yeah, just, I'm learning I really just enjoy reading about money. I really like had an awful relationship with money for many years. And, I've talked a lot about the Rich Dad, Poor Dad books. I've just finished the third book, which was on investing. You and I had a really cool conversation about like, the very abundant, wealthy people talk about the velocity of money. And the idea is like your money has to be moving in order to work for you. So we are, making investments and getting our money moving. And that just feels really good. I'm having a blast doing it. I've always been really interested too in like the stock market and trading and all that. So I've done it here and there, but to like actually have skin in the game now is it's fun. I think it feels good, and we're enjoying it. And yeah, and then music. I've been working on a vocal template so that like once I get a mix ready, I can just drop it into my vocal template, start recording over it and tracking vocals so I don't have to build it out every time. And that's really going to help me release music much more frequently. So I think my first one's probably coming out soon.
Probably.
Well, I'm trying to finalize the template because I do have a few things I got to go back and fix. But yeah, no, it's looking like we're ready. So it's all just, I think a lot's coming together. We got some big opportunities that are very exciting, and then we're also officially starting with guests on our podcast. So that's really exciting. We got a couple episodes that are in the works and being planned right now. And yeah, lots changing, lots of exciting things.
Yeah, more to come on all of that.
Yeah. So the word holistic.
So I feel like I said, my first kind of encounter with what holistic meant and a holistic lifestyle and a holistic approach was in 2018 when I met with my holistic life coach. So that was almost 6 years ago now. And I never really had heard of it before. And so learning it from her, and it hadn't been around a ton. And now I feel like I'm seeing it almost everywhere.
Yeah.
And as someone who calls myself a holistic life coach, because that is the approach that I take, and I'll get into what that actually means, it's kind of difficult because I'm like, well, are people really understanding what that is and what that means and knowing what I do? I know I could probably talk about it more, but am I now being compared to this word that's becoming kind of a marketing term?
Mm,
So that's my little struggle with it, I guess. But by definition, this is straight from Google.
yeah.
The holistic is the belief that the parts of something are interconnected and can be explained only by reference to the whole. And in medicine, it's characterized by the treatment of a whole person, taking into account mental and social factors rather than just symptoms.
Yeah. And I think that's really important. So we'll get into that in a second about like kind of what holistic actually looks like and means, because it's particularly important in medicine. But yeah, so it kind of gives you this full view of everything, whereas we tend to myopically look in at one component of something.
Hmm.
Um, Especially, kind of with humans, with people, it's kind of like treated like a machine, like a car, right? Like, oh, your air filter needs to be changed, right? Like, we'll treat this one thing.
Yeah.
Um, and the larger question is like, well, what's going on with the air filter? Was it taking in too much debris? Was there something happening there? So I think giving that overarching view can be really powerful when you really start to change the narrative of like looking at the entire system.
Yeah. And so, like we said, I feel like it's kind of become a little bit of a buzzword. It's being used a lot in marketing. And some people have thought in the past, and probably still do, think that holistic means like woo woo, like
Mm,
you're just super spiritual and that's all you talk about. And, you know, take this tea and your life will be 100 times better. And,
yeah,
herbals. And those are all potentially components of a holistic approach. But again, that's not it either.
right. And I think, something we wrote in here is it's used a lot to be synonymous with natural.
Right. Which is also a big marketing term.
Right. And, we can get into in the food industry, there's no regulation on using the word natural, but holistic is not synonymous with natural. That doesn't just mean it's natural.
Right. And, I'm seeing sometimes like there's now products coming out that claim they're a holistic product.
Mm,
Now, an individual product itself like can't really be holistic because it's not like one simple thing like a supplement or a tincture that you might be taking or a tea or who knows what, but like an individual product on its own is not necessarily like doing all like taking into account everything, the whole human. You're not taking one thing that's working with your mind and your body and your soul and doing all of these things. It can potentially be a piece of a holistic approach. It can be one part of that, but I don't think you can really say like an individual product is holistic.
no, I would agree.
Yeah. So again, like you said, it's kind of become more of like a marketing term and it's used to portray like this healthy, enlightened image. And
Yeah.
again, like when you're looking at people who are really, like there's coaches and there's doctors and there's naturopaths and there's people who use a holistic approach, it's like it's taking away from that a little bit, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Um, there are other ways you can use the word holistic. I put down like maybe you've heard someone say a holistic approach to marketing.
Right.
And that just means, again, looking at all of the parts that make up the whole like marketing campaign, your social media, your brand, your website, your advertising, your physical location, all of that. That you could say a holistic approach. It's all the
Right.
parts that make up the whole.
Yeah. I've seen a lot of products where they've claimed holistic and they weren't necessarily trying to have this like natural image. But it was used in a way that was kind of intending to say like we're giving you the whole thing. the whole
Yeah.
system, the whole part.
Mm.
But then even digging deeper, they're not. So it's like it's definitely become this very popular marketing term. And I think too, people definitely use it to try to portray a certain image. I'm very enlightened. I'm very knowledgeable. I'm very spiritual, whatever it is. And I think, yeah, it's doing a disservice to people like you who are use a true holistic approach. You look at the whole human being, and no, you don't have to use holistic in the sense of just health, right?
Right.
It could be a holistic approach to your marketing. But if it's not truly considering the whole system, don't use it.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we've used the word holistic a ton. We have had episodes where we've spoken about what that means, and we've even done like specific episodes. We had like a stress management episode on body, on mind, on soul. And
Yeah.
so when we talk about holistic, and we'll get more into it, we're talking about a holistic approach to health and a holistic approach to like your lifestyle.
Yeah.
So what does that mean? So as a holistic life coach, again, I look at people and I help them to really dive into the health and well being of their mind, body, and soul. That means choices and habits in their everyday life are always being considered and always, trying to figure out how are these contributing to my overall whole self, my overall health? Like, how do all of these choices contribute to the whole version of me?
Yeah. And I think something that's really powerful that you do with your clients is that mental component of, in order to understand them holistically, you have to also understand, to a degree, their childhood and what beliefs they have, and how that's affected them and how that's gotten them to where they are today. And I think that that's such an important and powerful component of it, because it's not just like, hey, what's your mindset look like? It's, hey, what do we have to look at to start to change that mindset?
Right. I mean, that's really the whole mind component. I don't
Right.
know how you could just like ask someone what they're thinking today without going back and understanding where that all came from.
Right.
Like that is a big piece of what I do is I really have to help my clients understand to become aware of how they're thinking,
Yeah.
how their subconscious mind is currently programmed and what limiting beliefs and thoughts that they have and what, from their past created who they are today and the way they think today, the self-talk that they have about themselves or about just the world around them, and all of that is such a huge component to making any sort of change in your life, and that's why it's an important piece to an overall holistic approach.
Yeah.
So, and then, mind, body, and soul, like I said, but in that, I'm also talking to people, and these all contribute to mind, body, and soul, but I work with my clients on how are you doing in your relationships? How is your career? How is your home life? How is your recreation and fun?
Yeah.
How is your financials? How is your health physically, mentally? Like that is what makes up your life.
Mm.
It's not just like one little thing or you're feeling bad or you don't love how your body feels, but how's everything else?
Right.
Those are all contributing to the life that you're living and creating and building.
Yeah. And I think that's really important in terms of kind of like how the narrative is changing, right? As a society, as a culture, we're not so, and we still see people do it who don't understand that, like, your mental health is related to your diet. Like it or not, it's
Yeah.
related to your diet. It's related to your gut microbiome. It's related to what you're putting in your body and your stomach, your microbiome's ability to transport nutrients.
Mhm.
That affects your mental state.
Right, and your gut is producing like 90% of your serotonin,
Right. So,
which again absolutely affects your mental state.
yeah. So I think kind of taking that then into what does a holistic approach look like, right? Um, if you're feeling depressed or anxious, those are symptoms. Do you want to kind of get into like what would a holistic approach look like?
Yeah, so you're seeing these as symptoms of something being dysregulated, something
Right.
being out of balance. So rather than trying to do something to combat that symptom, like that is it happening for a reason.
Well, let's back up, right? Because then it would be, I mean, I went through this. I have anxiety. I'm getting panic attacks. You go to the doctor, they say, okay, go to therapy a few times a week, take this pill. Take it 3 times a day so that the anxiety never comes back. Otherwise, it'll rebound. So I spent 5 years on benzodiazepines, and that was the solution.
Yeah.
But that approach is to tell me that we're treating the symptom, it's symptom management, and also just kind of telling me I have this disease and I'm broken, and that's going to be something I'm dealing with for the rest of my life.
Right. But the reality is that everybody experiences anxiety in some way, shape, or form because it
Yeah.
is a normal human emotion
Right.
that is communication from our body, from our nervous system that something is off.
Yeah.
So, and I didn't speak about this before, but now's a great time to say it, is that a holistic approach is also looking at root cause.
Yeah.
What is the reason and the cause for something being out of balance? Why is my body giving me these symptoms? What is the actual reason for it? Not just like, well, it's happening, so let's try to attack that.
Yeah. And that's a great point. I'm getting a little ahead with this, but
Good.
when I working with my naturopathic doctor, the when my lung collapsed, it was, well, here's an issue. We're gonna treat it. And, in that case, of course, please treat my lung. But then there's no conversation after. It's, well, your lungs reinflated, it's sealed up, send you on your way. Working with my naturopathic doctor, he is using a holistic approach. So he actually asks me, what was going on in your life? Were you experiencing major stressors? How was your relationship at that time?
Mhm.
Was work or financial stressors a factor? And what was your relationship with yourself? What did your diet look like? Those things all played a role. And, now come to find out the side that my lung collapsed on was next to my liver. And my liver is having some issues clearing toxins. So that's what I'm working with him on right now. And, that very well could have played a role.
Mhm.
So it's really interesting. And I think you learn a lot more when you take a holistic approach and you really look at the system as a whole and get the whole picture of what's going on.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that nervous and then I will say nervous system and nervous system regulation, I'm hearing more of that a
Mm,
lot too.
yeah.
So I'm glad it's being talked about, but also be careful on what you're taking in about that. But that's your stress. That's your body being in a state of stress, fear, like thinking it's in danger. And that is a huge piece to a holistic approach because our nervous system controls so much about our body and
Yeah.
our mind.
So let's circle back then. So you're feeling depressed or anxious, and that is a feeling that we have. How would a holistic approach address something like this?
Yeah. So physically, you know, how does your diet look? Are
Mm.
you giving your body nutrients that are actually helping you feel better, helping you to move towards health?
Yeah. I mean, we learned with our continuous glucose monitors that when we spike our blood sugar, we were feeling anxious.
Very much.
Yeah.
Are you moving your body? We are not meant to be sedentary beings, but society has created it so it's hard for us to find time to move sometimes.
Hmm.
And so we sit at a desk all day or wherever you are. So are you moving at all?
Yeah. I
What
mean,
does that look like?
I can tell you I was very doped up on medication, and it wasn't until I really started taking exercise seriously that my symptoms started to go away.
Right. And then your nervous system, of course, like I just said, your nervous system is huge. So if you're not moving, you're you're not eating well, all of that's already going to start to contribute to feelings of anxiety or depression. But then, mentally, are you looking at, do you even understand where like the self talk that you're having or where the thoughts are coming from? What kind
Mm,
of mindset are you in? Are you just completely negative all the time?
yeah.
Where does that come from and why?
I mean, I think back to when I was on a lot of medication, I was eating bad. I had a lot of anxiety, bad depression, and I didn't take care of myself. But my self talk was intensely negative. Like
Right.
I grew up being raised like somebody's about to attack me. And so even just like being on a college campus at the time, it was constantly like looking over my shoulder. I was just so negative. My mindset was awful. And I think what I'm trying to say is people don't realize when you don't take care of yourself physically, the toll it will take mentally is a lot more than I think people realize.
Yeah, I mean, taking care of yourself physically is like the foundation of health and well-being.
Yeah.
And then again, it goes into your mind. And then from a soul level, like, are you lacking purpose? How are you spending your time? Do you feel fulfilled? Do you feel like you belong? Do you have a community? Do you have a support system? What kind of energy do you have and take in on a regular basis? Like,
Yeah.
how are you spending your time? Do you feel like you're doing things that light you up and make you feel happy and like you're being your true self? You
Mhm.
weren't doing any of that at that time
No,
either.
I was just gonna say, like, I know I keep taking this back to me, but when I was really not doing well, I had no purpose, no fulfillment. There was nothing I was passionate about, and exercise and prioritizing myself and truly finding what I wanted to do. That's really how I got healthier.
Right. So you took that holistic approach to read when you were rebuilding your life.
Yeah.
You knew it wasn't just like one thing was going to solve it all.
Right. Yeah. Like I wasn't just gonna eat better and everything was gonna be great, you know?
Right.
So so that's, anxiety, depression. Let's do another one. What would it look like for food? Maybe someone wants to lose weight. What would a holistic approach look like?
Yeah. So, from a physical level, like, again, it goes back to how are you moving? What does your diet look like? And what is your relationship to those things? How do you feel about them? Are
Like with
you,
food?
yeah, like
Yeah.
there, I know a lot of people may struggle with like emotional eating. I know
Hmm.
that's something that you have gone through and it can
Yeah.
even come up now sometimes
Oh yeah.
where you have that urge. It's a very normal thing to have. So you have to kind of dig further. Like, what's the root of that?
Yeah. I
Why is
think,
that happening? And what can you do to make it better?
yeah, for me it was a lot of binge eating, especially with I had some meds that like gave me the munchies. And I had one night I just ate like 8,000 calories. But yeah, I mean, your relationship with food is I think one of the biggest things that's overlooked when it comes to health and managing your weight and your physical health. So it's always worth looking at your relationship with food. We've talked about, are you eating for dopamine or fuel and nutrition? So
Yeah. And it's especially tougher, if you were raised eating a lot of ultra processed food.
yeah.
And I'm calling it ultra processed now instead of saying food with chemicals because
Yeah, people, the
food have
keyboard
chemicals, whatever.
keyboard warriors didn't like that one.
Yes, you and I eat ultra processed food now too. But
Yeah,
we look at the ingredients and we can actually read the ingredients that are in it.
there's deal
There
breakers.
there are, there's healthier versions
Yeah,
of ultra processed food and then there's ultra processed food where you have no idea what any of the ingredients are,
yeah.
but you're just eating this like man-made thing.
It's literally synthetic. I mean, that's the
It's
thing
not
is
true food.
right.
Like, I wish we had another name for it.
Yeah, yeah, same.
So when you're raised on that, of course, like, that can contribute to your relationship with food and
Yeah,
also create those cravings where it's easier to emotionally eat. So
yeah.
that's a big piece of, your relationship with food and maybe wanting to lose weight and seeing what that looks like. Also, mentally, what is your attitude towards yourself, towards your
Mm,
weight, towards your body? What limiting beliefs are you holding on to and what identity are you in currently?
yeah, that's a big one because I think we've talked about this too. Is people who struggle to lose weight, a lot of times it's that they've attached the weight to their identity, and so you typically have some sort of belief about, well, I'm a larger person. So it's always worth looking at your relationship with your body. as well.
Yeah,
I think that's an important piece of a holistic approach too.
absolutely. Your beliefs and your thoughts are on repeat in your subconscious mind,
Yep.
creating the actions that you ultimately take.
Hmm.
So the thoughts that you have, the relationship that you have with yourself, and the way you feel is a huge piece to anything. And then on a soul level, like what energy are you in? Are you fulfilled in life? Are you really feeling like you are your true self? And what can you do then to physically become that person that you desire, that makes you feel even more like your true self?
Yeah.
Or if you're not doing that, that could also be contributing to, this dysregulation that your body is having.
Right. And, so that's a kind of a holistic approach then on food and weight loss versus the conventional medicine alternative is go to a nutritionist, eat healthier, maybe count your calories.
Right. All
It's
of those things can be a component.
right. They can be great on their own, but it lacks the mental component of your relationship with food, your relationship with your body. There's other pieces to the puzzle that are missing. And I do believe that's why a lot of people struggle because they're
Right.
not, they're not playing the game with the full picture, you know?
Right. Well, I mean, I think that's why a lot of people will like yo-yo diet
Yep.
because you have this one diet to follow and it's great and you see some progress, but like that's the only thing that you've been changing. So everything else around you, your soul, your mental is not changed.
Well, they also
So
have that
you're
identity and,
right,
generally believe, oh, I'm not going to stick with it or something like that. So
right.
it,
And that's not creating a sustainable future for
right,
yourself. That
right.
is like, oh, diet. And then when your 12 weeks are up or however many months are up, just go back to like life as it was rather than actually creating a holistic lifestyle
Yeah.
where you're changing your whole lifestyle.
Sustainable lifestyle changes.
Right.
You don't need to dive overboard and go crazy. You need something you're going to stick with
Yeah.
that is meaningful and creates positive change in your life. Um, let's do one more. Medicine and sick care. So, briefly touched on this, right? But if you have some sort of a symptom, it's let's treat the symptom, right? So, a holistic approach in medicine looks at other factors, right? We've talked about this working with our naturopathic doctors. They'll look at our childhood. They'll
Hmm.
look at, what stressors did we have? Were there financial stressors? Were there things going on in our relationship? How was our career looking? There's a lot more to the picture than just this one thing. And my doctor always goes, very curious. Let's figure out why, you know? So it's that approach of root cause, right? So I mentioned, with my lung, it was there was no question after. It was okay, your lungs are inflated, send you on your way. My doctor's now, okay, what's going on? Why did that happen? Was it really just COVID or were there other things going on in your body? Were
Hmm.
there other stressors? I was probably stuck in a state of dysregulation with my nervous system and I was struggling in a lot of areas and there was a lot of inflammation in my body.
Right.
So,
Mm.
in conventional medicine, and I'm really excited for this because I think this is definitely something we're going to have some healthcare practitioners come on and speak to this. But in conventional medicine, it's treat the symptom. In holistic medicine, it's look at the root cause. We'll handle the symptom, but let's figure out what the root cause is. It's
Right.
a piece of medicine that is seriously missing.
Yeah. I mean, then like I've said, and like you were just talking about, the nervous system is such a huge component to overall well-being, how you feel, how you think, how your body is. You will gain weight if your nervous system is chronically stressed.
Yeah,
That is a like the function of your nervous system because it thinks you need to put on weight
yeah,
in order to, beat famine if you're going to like be struggling to find food.
yeah,
This is like literally your biological process of what your nervous system does for you.
yeah. I mean, you can do everything right, and you know, you struggle with putting on or losing weight because your nervous system is dysregulated and you're stuck in a fight or flight response and your body's literally trying to survive. And when you're in that state, your metabolism's not working the same. Your digestive system is not working the same.
Right.
Your blood flow is redirected. Everything's working differently.
Right. And that was a big piece too when I was, speaking with my naturopath about my symptoms and stuff. And I found out I have some gut issues going on. My immune system is kind of on high alert. And, we talked about root cause and traced it back to a lot of stress
Yeah.
that happened at the start of when my symptoms started coming. And she's like, you can get kind of stuck in this cycle where your digestive system becomes affected. It then affects your gut. And then you're put your body in high alert. Your immune system is now like, whoa, something's up. Now I'm in high alert. And it's this whole cycle. So
Yeah.
that's literally what I'm working through right now with my naturopath. And from only a few short weeks of, the things that I'm taking, the supplements and the way that I'm ensuring I'm treating my body, I'm ensuring I am journaling and meditating every day and doing my breathwork practice and exercising and getting sunlight, and sleeping.
Check out the challenge if you haven't yet.
So I'm doing all of these things and the supplements. The
Yeah.
supplements are not the holistic approach. It's my whole lifestyle that
Yeah.
is the holistic approach.
And I think that's a major distinction because a lot of people, we have that culture, right? Of like, give me the magic weight loss pill. I want the pill that's going to handle this for me. And a lot of times, what you'll find is like those pills don't, a lot of times, the side effect of the pill is the thing you're trying to treat. And so, it's just kind of understanding when you use supplements and vitamins, you're supporting the system, but that's not the kickstart or the end all be all. It's generally should be um, temporary, something that you're using to support the system and get it to where you want to be, but you have to live a lifestyle that promotes balance in your body and in your health.
Yeah.
So when people are looking for a holistic coach or, something holistic, what should they be looking for?
Yeah, like a holistic doctor or whatever. You really want to make sure that they are teaching you, educating you, looking at root cause and looking at all of the parts that make up your whole self. It's not just physical, it's not just mental. It is also your soul. I mean, it's everything. Make sure that it's not someone who just wants to chase symptoms
Mm,
and tell you, well, this thing will fix that.
right, because
You
you
not
had a naturopathic doctor before who just threw a bunch of supplements at you and called it a day.
Yeah, she never asked me about my lifestyle or anything, and so
And
I'm not work
that's yeah,
stopped working with her.
that's kind of a problem in this space too, is like some people um don't continue their education. They're not, they can very much have the same approach as conventional medicine doctors. They're human too. I mean, we
Right.
just saw someone the other day who said that they found out they had cancer and they went to tell the doctor, "Hey, I'm really not feeling good. I need you to check out my stomach." And the doctor said that he didn't have time.
Yeah.
Come to find out, she had a tumor that ended up having to be removed.
Mhm.
So it's really like do the due diligence and find the right doctor because in any space, you might have some that are not so great.
Yeah, and advocate for yourself and, working with someone, whether it is, a naturopath and it's a doctor and it's for your, health, or it's working with a life coach and, creating greater and better things in your life and chasing after your dreams and, rediscovering who you are. You need to be working with someone who also believes in you,
Mm,
believes in your ability to heal, believes in your ability to grow, to change, to create whatever you want to create. Because there's a lot of doctors and, people that you might go to who have this negative attitude and they're like, well, this is what you have and you're stuck with this and this is what it is. And it's like,
mm. It's
that
a
is so unhelpful.
that's a big one for my lung because they always just tell you like, it's going to happen again. It's going to happen again.
Yeah, well,
And
newsflash, it hasn't happened in well over a year, guys.
yeah, well, I think it's just funny because that's like constant programming that they give people. And well, it's not really funny. But when I went to another naturopathic doctor, I reached out to a few. He responded and said, it might not be a home run,
Mm,
but we can try. And I was like, I don't really feel like you're where I'm at.
Yeah. Thanks for
And
the help.
the thing I really loved about my doctor now, I talked to him about working with our energy healer. And I said, she did this body scan energetic code session, um, where she determined that there was something foreign to my body, right? Um, she specifically gave me the place in my body. It was an area in my gut. And I brought this up to my naturopathic doctor. I said, I hadn't said anything to her about what I was experiencing. I said, I'm not really sure where you're at with the metaphysical realm and energetics and all that. And he said, no, I believe there's even energetic parasites. And that was kind of the moment I was like, no, he gets it. Like, he's well versed on the latest research on energy and the metaphysical realm. And that was how I knew, like, we're in alignment and he can help me.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
And, with that, I invite you to be open and willing to like learn and not think that, you necessarily know everything there is to know. There's so much out there. There's so much that is still being uncovered and discovered in the
Mm,
world and the universe. And back to just what I was saying in terms of when you're looking to work with someone who's a holistic practitioner in whatever regards, like make sure you're not working with someone who claims that their one specific modality is the end all be all, is a
mm,
treatment. And just remember that like holistic is an approach. It's a lifestyle of making choices that truly tend to your needs
yeah. I
in all
think
areas.
I think that's a big one too, because there is no one treatment that solves everything. Like our naturopathic doctors, they work with herbs, they work with acupuncture, they work with topicals and oriental medicine. It depends on the person, and there's going to be different ways to support different areas of your life. Like part of what they're prescribing is meditation and
Right.
visualization.
Right. And meditation is a modality that I teach, but
Right.
I would never say that this is everything. This is
Right.
it.
Right. And so I think that's part of, if it sounds like they're overpromising, they probably are.
Yeah.
Anything else?
No, I think that's it.
Where can people find your challenge if they haven't already started?
Yeah, we're currently, when this episode comes out, we'll be about 2 weeks in, but it's still available for anyone who wants to start on day one and go through the 21-day challenge. You can go to newmoonholisticlife.com/challenge.
There's been a lot of really great discussions in the community.
Yeah, that's been fun.
Yeah, it's been really great. And as this is one of the first few things I didn't really help you with. I made sure that, you had your video set up and stuff, but um, I'm just really proud of you. It came out amazing, really
Thanks.
amazing. I think you're going to help a lot of people. I'm really impressed by how the course looks and how it all came out and just kind of how everyone's coming together to share and be vulnerable. And I think it really came out great.
Thank you.
Friendly reminder: this podcast is sponsored by New Moon Apparel. That is our Zen, motivation, and moon themed clothing line. You can shop designs at newmoonapparel.com. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you guys next time.
Thank you.